Hi, welcome back to the workshop. It's been some time, I think, since we had a bit of a workshop tour. I've had lots of layout tours and model conversations and all sorts since then, but I thought there's a lot of variety going on at the moment on the bench. I'm just back off my holiday and I've been doing a bit of personal modelling on both Beaverbrook up here and the European layout over my shoulder. So I thought rather than do sort of specific video updates, I'll just do a bit of a wander around, show you what's going on, share some of the ideas I've got for what's coming next, and hopefully while away a few minutes whilst you can grab a cup of coffee and enjoy a break. So let's go and take a look. So here's some of the commission work that's being worked on at the moment. We've got something in 16mm scale here and some 00 gauge commissions as well. Very different in their scope and obviously their prototype. I've really enjoyed doing both of them and I'll explain why. This 16mm scale commission was a scratch build of the Hudson Go-Go tractor, and these are just some Slater's War Department Hudson skips, and it's been really good fun putting this together. It's like a modern scratch build, so it's not all handmade and hand fretted from bits of metal and things. It's using sort of current technology, so we've got some 3D printed parts and some laser cut parts in here. We've got some die cast toy tractor that's been cut up and modified. We've got some scratch built styrene details. We've got a lot of hand finished elements as well. And I think the results speak for themselves. It's full of character. It's neat where it needs to be neat. It's got those sort of flourishes of the artist in other places, and I'm really looking forward to weathering that now. So this is in its base grey paint. The next stage will be to bring it to life. I've got some I've got some photos we'll be working from, trying to get this rust staining on the bonnet, on the edges of the roof and things is going to be good fun. A bit of streaking, yeah, that will really bring it to life and finish it off. And obviously the wagons will get the same treatments. Next to them here, these 4mm models are old Bachmann Class 04s. The original tooling, I think, was a modification of the old mainline Class 03. So the original mainline Class 03 tooling was modified by Bachmann in the early days of Bachmann to make the Class 04, and that meant they could never make the Class 03 again until we had the more recent retooled one. So these are the original 04 body. They've been modified to sit on the current 03 chassis, so that my customer can run them with DCC and possibly fit sound and things at a later date. And they've had skirts added to the bottom, so we've had to modify the frames to fit the skirts. I've replaced all the plastic handrails, and these are now painted and had the basic decals fitted, and the first coats are sort of detail painting as well, bringing out the buffer beams and things. That all needs a second coat, and then they can get another coat of lacquer. So they're nearly done. And they've been really good fun, because it's like I started model making, all those years ago as a child. I started by taking Lima models, carving the plastic handrails off, drilling small holes and fitting wire handrails and, Craftsman detailing kits, white metal hoses and all that sort of thing. And this felt very much in tune with that. I'm carving off plastic detail and I'm replacing it with finer metal details. And it's just what a wonderful way to bring an aging model back to life. To give it some real character. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. So taking a quick look at the bench at the minute. As you know, I've just been on holiday, so I've got some mail sat here, which I think is a set of instructions for a kit someone wants me to take a look at. So that's going to be interesting to take a read through. I've been doing some work on my own 009 models here, so I've been building a rake of old Colin Ashby narrow gauge wagons for this project. I've also got the prototype. I think it's a Young narrow gauge locomotive, the next Euro narrow gauge kit. So that's waiting for some etches there. You'll notice a few more here. These are going to go to my friend Steve. So it's a set of similar wagons to these. They'll go off to him, because hopefully he and I are working on this together. A bit of a co-conspiracy thing going on. Over to the side here, we've got my Irish signal, which I've still got on the bench just to remind me I've I was really, really proud of putting that together. I know there's some things on it that aren't quite right, but I'm looking forward to putting some paint on that now I'm back from holidays this week. Yeah, and obviously over time this sort of very this space becomes a sort of jack of all trades. You know, I can clear things aside and get the laptop out, do some design work here. You know, if I'm doing painting or illustration, I use the desk in that way. Doing soldering, I'll get out the wooden chop block and everything, wood board and things, and use that. Bit of painting, I sit here and put some music on or a podcast on and listen. So this is where it all happens. It's like a multi-use space, and it's my space. I feel really calm here when I'm sat here. It's somewhere I can relax, get myself lost in, you know, picking up familiar tools. You know, these tools here, my bread and butter tools, are things I've had for 30 years. I remember my dad buying me these tweezers, and I use them regularly. And this is actually his craft knife, so luckily you can still get the blades to fit. I quite like the chunky handle, gives me something to sort of a slight bit of weight to use against. But anyway, it's interesting, isn't it, how these touch points of our hobby kind of go through time. Anyway, let's take a look and see what's been going on with some of the layouts. This is Lock Do. Of course, I'm sure you've all seen this previously. I still enjoy turning the lights on and just taking it all in. It's currently sat here with the modified Bachmann Farish 37. This was a Dutch one I repainted, lowered and detailed, and a set of Pico hoppers with the Coventry Railworks conversion kit. So they basically represent the Illumina traffic that went from Blythe to Fort William. Quite why it's doing what it's doing here, sat at Lock 2, who knows? More on that story at another time, I'm sure. If you're interested in seeing more about Lock Do, it does feature in a couple of videos here on the channel. Here on Beaverbrook, you can see I've been making progress on that office come workshop down the, well, I suppose it takes up a good quarter of the overall length of the layout. For a long time this was in cardboard. It's complex shape and roofline to sort of fit around the back scene, and its prototype inspiration too. Meant it, I kind of had put it off somewhat, so converting it into styrene a few months ago felt like good progress, but I had put off the roof until this week. So the roof's now in place, the cladding on the roof is in place, so we're on to detailing now. So it's about adding gutters, barge boards, you know, air conditioning units and things like that. So I need to kind of work my way along the structure now, get all that basic stuff done, and I'll also, if you look, I need to bed in along the base. So this part of the layout at the back was never finished deliberately, so I'll build the base up with some cork to allow the building to sort of sit within a well, and that allows you then to scenic right up to the edge. A bit of a trick, especially since this is viewed at eye level, of course, so that works really nicely. If you're working from above, you need to be even neater, or if you're viewing from above, but in this instance that's going to work really nicely, really well indeed, and be quite easy to do. So yeah, I will be sharing more soon. If you're interested in seeing a bit more of this layout, again, there are more videos here on the video channel. And this is the European project. I don't know if this has been on the blog before. It might have been in perhaps one of the mindful videos. It's kind of tentatively called Beaverbrook work or works. The play on the name is a poor sort of German translation of Pontaduras. This is the shelf where that 00 gauge layout sat. It felt kind of neat and also slightly quirky to sort of name its replacement in the same manner. Since it's last been shown, at least if it has been shown on video, you know, the scenic works come on a great deal. I've been really enjoying adding textures, thinking about the grass, and I've experimented on this project. I think my natural palette is perhaps drier, yellower. I've gone for some rich greens, and it's a little bit uncomfortable when you're mixing them because they kind of feel a bit like, oh, I'm not sure about this, but now they're down, I think it works really nicely. It kind of suggests that sort of lush end of May, June sort of time where the grass is growing like crazy. And it gives it a different feel to all my other projects, which is important for me too. I'll bring the camera over actually and I'll show you what I've been up to, but it has been a real tonic, and I still operate it a couple of times a week, just shunting wagons around, which was what its original intention was, just some mindful shunting. It's got KDs fitted to the stock, it's really limited in scope. I'm not tempted to go out and buy any more locos. I've got one loco, 4 wagons, and that gives me everything I need in this little space. And I can just literally flick one switch, you know, the power comes on, the light comes on, and I've got my walk out controller, you know, and I'm there sort of, you know, playing trains. And I don't think we should underestimate the power of that. You know, even just running a train up and down on a short length of track can be a real sort of tonic. So there's a mindful element, isn't there, when we can get lost in our art. You know, whether it's sat at the bench, you know, making something with your hands, tactile, feeling the sensations of sort of, you know, finding a little bit of material off, or just adjusting the shape of something, or thinking about how to make it out of, you know, the materials you have at hand. To here, where, you know, actually even just looking at this, you know, getting lost in the scene and moving around and getting different viewing angles, it puts me in there. It makes it doesn't make. I feel calmer. It's hard to explain. It allows my brain just to quieten down just for those moments, and I can get lost in there. Lost is probably not quite the right word, really. Maybe found. I can get found in there. And running trains on here is so straightforward. And I think the relaxing element here is there's no thinking really required. It's such a basic operation. And I think I have done a video about it now. I've come to say that because I think I've talked about mindful operation. So yeah, I'll bring the camera in and talk to you about some of the things I've been doing on here. So I'm afraid we're now on James Hilton's Steadicam. I am holding it. So if there's any rocking of the camera, my apologies. So at this end of the layout, you'll notice the concrete. This has come in and is just card that's been painted with a pale gloss, pale grey, and then covered in talcum powder, and then the panel lines drawn on with a pencil. You'll notice over by the tracks I've weathered as well. I've added some sort of oil spills and some grime down the middle of the track there, and that man is just checking his paperwork. He's one of those lovely model figures, so he can be moved around and posed. That concrete panel fence along the back has worked out remarkably well. That's Slater's 7mm wood planking with some evergreen styrene for the posts. Paper printout on the back scene of a structure in Bratislava, near where, well, the inspiration for some of this came from. And this is the Walther's gantry oil pipeline, but I've added these etched metal pieces at the top that kind of just give a bit more structure to the thing and perhaps a touch more realism. You can see I've added a bit of grass between the rails as well. I think there's a bit more to do on that. That office at the back there, scratch built as well. That's nearly finished, as is the warehouse you've just seen. As we move down, we're starting getting to the world of fancy here, because obviously I think in real life this pipe run probably would have run over the top, but I wanted to run it underneath the railway, so I did. And you can see I've disguised the end of the office here with greenery, which works really nicely. But there's an element here from about where my finger is now running across to the oil or chemical unloading point that this is undecided. I don't know what's going in here. And as you turn around this way, you'll see things are unfinished at this end. So a bit of more work to do. It's kind of like it started out with some ideas in mind. I knew what this was going to look like. I knew what this was going to look like. I knew where the gantry was going to run. I knew what this office building, this warehouse was going to look like. And the rest has been filled in as I've gone along. And it's not always the way I like to work. But I thought it was interesting to give it a whirl, to give it a try, to see how it felt, to see what the results were like. I'm enjoying it. It feels uncomfortable in moments. You know, this part down the back is bothering me, but I know I'll find an answer for it, so I'm not overly concerned. So, there you go. A bit of a whistle-stop tour around the workshop, hopefully of interest. My usual sort of waffling. Hopefully just a nice way to spend a few moments during your day, and perhaps some ideas for your own modelling. Some reflections on our approach to the hobby. And yeah, as ever, if there's any sort of thoughts or questions, then by all means leave me a comment. I'll do my best to get back to you. I write on my blog every day, so I know a lot of people do enjoy tuning in there for a coffee break in their morning. I try and get something on by sort of 9 o'clock usually, all being well. And still open for commission, so if there's any sort of work that you'd like me to work on for yourself, then do get in touch. I really enjoy working with with customers and with you. It's very much a two-way process. You know, we talk about what it is you're after, what you're looking for, and then through the build, you know, I really try to engage you. You know, if you've got the ability to receive videos and things, you know, we talk backwards and forwards on Messenger and whatnot, and I can share sort of updates of where things are up to in this sort of format, this video format. So I think people really appreciate that. I actually really enjoy doing it. It makes it feel more personal, more rewarding for me, hopefully more enjoyable for you. And the results of that work often get shared on the blog, but also here. So obviously you've been looking today at the 16mm Hudson Go-Go tractor. That's been a project for more months than I care to remember, but it's been magic working on that. And I hope my customer really does enjoy it when it arrives. I think it really is. It's turned out to be. It's sort of surpassed my expectations about what we were going to be able to achieve. With the sort of, the scale is smaller than I'm used to working with for that sort of detail. Anyway, I'm waffling, so it's probably time to go. Until next time, I will see you all again soon. Take care.